Good morning to some and good afternoon to others.
How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you all for joining me today.
Happy to be here.
It's
Thanks.
great to have all three of you at the same time.
Where were you located, Ryan?
California.
Okay, so I'm the only East
upper LA
Coaster here.
Okay.
Odd man out.
Well, thank you so much today for joining me. I did have a chance to watch the movie. I have to admit, I'm not a big sci-fi buff, but this one I felt I'd be doing an injustice if I didn't check it out. It just it caught my eye with the trailer. It felt more horror kind of mixed in with the sci-fi. And I'm really glad that I did check it out. There was a lot about this film that I enjoyed. Strong directing, strong scripting, great effects. Like because I know this is no independent film, but the effects were good, really good. Performance was great. The realism of the characters, I enjoyed. I believe it was the character Kevin when he went to the bar, and the barkeep said, "Oh, you were in rare form last night," and he got a beer, and then he left and forgot his card. I know he was kind of like under possession, and that would have been me, just normal. So I totally could relate. So that was great. The lighting was fantastic. All the lighting effects you guys did. And then the soundtrack was great too. And then I had read that it ran at Panic Fest and it seemed like it did well. So I'm like, I need to check this film out. So I'm really glad I did. And one of the most powerful parts of the film was probably the most simplest part was the very beginning of the film. And that was the words uttered, "Are we alone?" Very strong, very strong. And Bruce, I'll start with you. Do you think that we're alone?
First of all, thank you for all of that. That was super, super nice of you. Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, the root of any horror scene, regardless if it's aliens or ghosts or monsters. That's the first question that pops into your head in a dark room. Am I alone? Yeah, this kind of, started with that question on more of a large scale, and then kind of, it gets a lot more personal. Do I think we're alone? No, I don't think so. But I mean, do I think we'll ever actually see aliens or talk to aliens? I'm not so sure about that. But yeah, I mean, just in terms of, and the movie goes into this, but the numbers behind, we either should have contact alien life or we should have had some sort of sign or something. It just seems like it's only a matter of time. That being said, again, the movie goes into this, but
yeah,
we've only been around for such a short period of time that if there is one, who's to say that intelligent life is on the same timeline that we are, technologically. You can't tell. So there could be other life out there, but there might be, organisms or really well behind their evolution, or another life could have just gone extinct by the time we actually had any ability to actually contact anyone. So that's kind of where my mind's at. And I tried to put as much of that into the movie while still, keeping it horror and not going too far into the weeds. But yeah.
Yeah. And what about you, Anna? Are we alone?
Oh, no, 100% no. Yeah, I'm scared of everything, so I'm a terrible person to ask. But yeah, no, there's no way. I almost think it's selfish to think that we'd be the only person, because it's like, how could we? Come on. It's insane. The universe is huge. And I also believe in ghosts and everything too, though. So again, maybe not the best judge.
No, it's perfect. And what about you, James?
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought it was kind of crazy to think that we're actually like entirely alone. I mean, the vast amount of space. I mean, I just have always believed that there's something, like Bruce said, I don't know that we'll ever come in contact with it. I like to think that, some crazy stuff could happen, but that's just my mindset. Yeah, I don't think we're alone.
I'm in the same mindset too. I mean, I'd be terribly disappointed if we were.
Yeah, for some reason, it's like comforting in a weird way.
No, exactly. I think you hit the nail on the head. It is very comforting. And so I don't even try to think of that we're, the only ones out here.
It's almost like there's too much pressure if it's just us.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, why us?
How are we doing? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It does almost feel narcissistic to be like, and we are the one happy accident that kind of, all these small evolutionary things that led to us that nowhere else that could ever possibly happen. So yeah.
Yeah, that's terrible to think. Kind of jumping ahead with the film, was this the original ending that you had intended, or was there more than one ending that you had wrote originally?
This we started writing this back in what it was before the pandemic, so it was like 2018, 2019,
Okay.
maybe late 2019 actually. And we kind of had plans and rough idea of when we were going to shoot it and all of that, and we were in talks to get the green light, and then obviously the pandemic happened and everything changed, and we kind of refocused what we were doing. But this script was always there, but it went through a lot of drafts at that. There's characters that are mentioned in this movie, specifically the son in the movie, who we've got to talk about. There was a version of the script where he was actually there with them, and then eventually, what was nice about having that 2-year gap between when we actually made it and when it was written is we had time to really look at the script with fresh eyes. I think when you're in it and you're in the mode and you're writing it, everything seems right, and it seems like it's there. And having almost a year to step away, make some other stuff, and then come back and look at it and be like, I love it, but there's so much room for improvement here, and we got a chance to do that. So as far as the ending, and we're good for spoilers here. I've seen many.
We can. If you want, that's fine.
I don't really. Yeah, I mean it. But yeah, there was always going to be a spaceship in the sky at the end. That was always the end of the movie. I think from the first draft.
Kind of had that Independence Day vibe. So that was.
Well, yeah. I wanted it to not the aliens arriving to be more of like a punctuation on the movie, and not to be like 100% what the movie is about. That's kind of like what lures people into the movie, but the movie is essentially about something that's already been here. And and that question, not only are we alone, because that's what everyone's wondering, but are we even the first civilized species on this planet? I mean, you look at the lifespan or the entire timeline of Earth since the beginning, we aren't sure. We aren't sure that there couldn't have been something else. Or fossil records only go back a couple million years. So yeah, I think that's kind of the question behind the question that I think most of the time we were exploring while dangling this kind of like extraterrestrial sort of thing. And like the extraterrestrial side is kind of distracting everyone else while we should be looking, inwards on the planet. Yeah.
And that's creepy in itself, that this matter was already here on Earth, and that's just even more creepier than it coming down from the sky.
Yeah, and the idea that at the end, the aliens are probably our savior, and then that's something we sometimes think about, but not in a more spiritual way than a practical way,
Yeah.
A species that potentially could be that much more advanced, potentially could have that much technology. You'd like to think that they're not just in the habit of coming and just demolishing us and being bloodthirsty monsters that are here just to kill everything. You'd like to think they're more of a Star Trek vibe to it, more of like they're civilized, they're advanced, they want to make peace, they want to help us further, and maybe they've known about us for a while, and there's certain that kind of thing, and that was the kind of deal with the aliens in this movie, and the humans now just had to deal with what was already there.
And your alien, I thought, was quite impressive. I got there was this movie back in the 80s, I think 89, called Pumpkinhead, and then with Lance Henriksen, and there was a movie, Stephen King's Sleepwalkers, in 92, I think it was 1992. It was like a mesh together, and then you kind of put your own little spin on it, and I loved it because that nostalgia came from me, and I was just like, oh, I'm into this now. I'm definitely I'm sold. So it looked great. It really did.
Yeah. That was so our head makeup creature effects guy, Jared Ballog. We've done a couple movies with him now. We did a movie called Dawn of the Beast where he did a Bigfoot and like a Wendigo, and we've done a couple different projects with him. So he's great and kind of have a shorthand. And for this one, I was like, we're doing an alien, and that was kind of all the direction I gave him. I kind of explained it had to be humanoid. It had to, start at a human and kind of get there. So we couldn't do something, crazy big or it had to, that was pretty much the only baseline. It was like, and then he started doing sketches and showing me, how he wanted the progression to go and what the functionality of it was going to be. And once we got there, it was we actually had to. The shoot was kind of happening in 2 sections because the body horror transformation that the character of Kevin goes through. We shot that during the principal photography because we needed to, just because he's interacting with everything. However, Jared, we were getting close to the shoot. He's like, he showed me kind of what he was working on with this monster alien suit, and between the suit and the life cast of the head and everything, he's like, I just don't have enough time. So what we ended up doing is shooting around that, and then for all like that big climax at the end where the alien's front and center, we kind of came back, probably about 30 days later, and were able to really, put that on display. So that was really exciting.
Oh, looked great. And then I think all 3 of you have worked together at one time, maybe on a project, or has Anna and James, have you both worked together on a project?
I think we've all come together in separate ways. I know Bruce
Okay.
and Anna had been working together before I came into the mix, and then Bruce had brought me in for a role on the movie that he did before First Contact, for a little role. And then this was my first time working with Anna.
That's something really special. 'Cause I did notice that.
I had seen that movie.
No, you're good. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just saying I saw the movie, so I was like, yeah, I know James. What are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, right. We did that in real life.
Because Bruce, you've directed a couple of productions that Anna's written, correct?
Yeah, Anna and I mean, we've been working together. We did our first, and way back, we did I met her I was directing training videos, and then she came in as an actress, and then we hit it off. And then a couple of years later, we did a movie that I had written, and then after that, she had a Bigfoot movie that we did called Monstrous, and that was our first like kind of creature feature, dipping our toe into that. And then we've done, I don't know, 5 movies since then, something like that. Yeah, it's been a lot. It's been good.
That's awesome. And then James and Anna, did you two do any rehearsing, or had you guys?
Well, it's funny
prior?
because Bruce was on the East Coast. We're both in California,
Yeah.
and he had set us up, introduced us. We did some table reads, read through some scenes, things like that, and we got to talking. We should do some rehearsing. And so, we're rehearsing on FaceTime a few weeks before the shoot. And then we come to find out that she lives like a quarter mile from me. So it was kind of funny.
Walks away.
Yeah.
I've never
Wow.
seen this man in my life.
Talk about a small world.
Yes.
And is there anything, James, that you're working on right now?
Actually, I just finished up a run of a play here in LA. We did at the Odyssey Theater. We did for a couple of weeks, and then between weekends on that, I actually shot a little Christmas movie adjacent to Bruce. So involved in that, so that was fun. And then I wrapped on a found footage horror movie a couple of weeks ago. Actually, back on the East Coast seems to be where I do most of my work.
And you got a movie coming out in August.
Yeah, and we did a little Island Escape coming out in August. That was the movie that I worked on with Bruce after First Contact, which we had a blast on that one.
Glad you guys have been busy. That's great.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been a good year.
It's been a crazy year. Yeah.
What about you, Anna? Do you have anything going on right now? Anything coming out?
James has me beat, but I've been doing a lot of writing and trying to just push things through and pitching stuff around. All horror, I think, literally all of them horror films. So hoping to get something else started soon.
And what are your favorite horror films? Is there anything that you go back to yearly?
It's so hard. I like them. I really love The Thing, obviously. I think everybody does. But there's this weird little one I think I made Bruce watch too a couple years ago called Lake Mungo. It's this bizarre, is it Australian? It's like sort of found footagey, but not. And I don't, just something about it scares the crap out of me.
Yeah.
So
That is awesome. And then Bruce, are you working on anything else besides what James had mentioned?
Besides the
Yeah,
5
James-
movies you just
Yeah,
wrapped.
James and I had a little 6-month streak there, didn't we? No, again, I don't think anything's been publicized by us. I want to talk about, we
Yeah.
have a movie coming out in August. It's another sort of action creature feature horror movie. It'll, when they're ready to do the press stuff, I'm sure that, I don't want to get ahead of that, but
Yeah.
that's in August. And I produced a Christmas movie with James in there. That was super fun. I actually enjoyed that way more than I thought I would. So that I don't think will be the last one. And yeah, now it's kind of like just like Anna, just kind of taking a break right now. And just maybe some writing and seeing what's next.
Very good. And I think it's really special that you guys can all work together and you keep using the same, Bruce using the same actors. And, I know like Rob Zombie does that a lot, and I love that. Adam Sandler does that a lot of his films, and I really think that is something special, and you just can build on it and then introduce more people into your circle as time goes on. So I'd really love to see the three of you do something again together. That'd be great.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's easier it's not just easier, it's easier because they're awesome. It's easier because I know I'm gonna get a good performance, and it's easy because I know they're cool people, and it's gonna be a good time. So you double, and then it's hard, when we're doing other movies, or if there's a part that, or if it's one of their projects too, if there's part that works, it's hard to find a reason, not to keep going back to these people I love. So
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there really is something to be said about, being friends with the people that you work with. It makes for an entirely different experience. I think it can elevate the project, and it just, we do that. I don't think any of us started doing this for the money. So it's like, if you're going to do something because you enjoy doing it, you better do it in a way that you enjoy. You know what I mean? And I think that's what's been the most fun about these projects, is just like, we have a great time. We put in the work and just really enjoy each other's company.
I think it's the challenge part too, which I love. Sorry, Anna. This is no, it's that since we do all these projects together, and like, it's not like the budgets are just going up every single project, and we just, this time we have this much to work with and all that. It's a more of, we did that, and we see, what we really thought worked about that project, what maybe didn't work, everything like that. And then that next project, even if, say, the budget's a little the same or a little more, whatever it is, we're through that, that battle that was the last movie. We all are battle hardened from it together. We have this team spirit that we can take all of that into the next project and make it that much better, challenge ourselves that much more, and all grow together, which is really nice.
I do think too, it feels very collaborative, like every project. And, Bruce is always open to hearing ideas and everything. And I think it makes everything, like the bond just seems so much better. And then I think hopefully that can read on camera, and just like trusting each other and everything, and being able to play instead of like, you forgot the in this line right here.
No, it does become a lot more natural, I think, too, as you know everybody. So it makes it that more, that more realistic for the audience.
Oh yeah. And then we all know each other's strengths and weaknesses. We can support each other, and kind of figure out. We know going in what it's going to be, what set life's going to be, what's expected of us, everything. And so it's you're a team at that point. You're a team, whether just like sports or anything else. And the spirit is good. It's going to show in the movie. So
no, I definitely agree with that. And one question I did forget to ask: was there anything for each of you that was like highly challenging on this film? I know it's always money and time, but was there anything else that may have been?
Anna, you want to take that one?
I don't know what happened. There was one scene, I think, to be fair, I think it was very late at night, and this may or may not have been, was it the same night that we filmed this long sequence? Anyway, I don't know what happened. It was just like the easiest, simplest little scene, maybe like less than a minute long, of James and I like watching the TV and just seeing some bad news about the aliens happening. And I don't know what happened. I could not stop laughing. It was so bad. Like all we needed was this dolly shot of me looking scared at the TV, and I could not keep it together. So I think, and then James, if I looked at him, he would laugh, and then we couldn't even look at each other. So we were trying to look at foreheads and stuff.
Yeah.
I think later Bruce was like, you know what, we just gotta call it. And I think it was just mostly over my shoulder trying to edit around the bouncing up and down laughing. But we pulled it
Casey is
together.
suspiciously absent from that scene. What you were saying, Ann, about that one, the other thing I was thinking was there's a sequence in the middle of the movie that's done as a oneer. It's not an actual oneer, but it's when he wakes up and he kind of keeps hearing himself and becoming that second version of himself, and then he eventually ends up with a knife downstairs. That choice to make it a oneer was made at about hour 10 of a 12-hour day at around like 1 a.m.
It escalated real quick.
I think it was like, I can't remember, it was either me or James, I can't remember, said it almost like a joke, like, oh, what, because it was originally planned as we had the shot list of he wakes up, he looks at the door, and then suddenly we cut, he's at the door, and then we cut, and it's more of like, and
well, I have this problem of like, I have like a very dry, sarcastic sense of humor, and I have this problem of like saying like a joke as like the stupidest thing we could possibly do, and then Bruce's eyes will light up, and I'll be like, "Oh, we could." I think I said like, "Oh, I don't want to do this as a oneer," and he stops and he goes, "Should we?" So that led to like the next 4 hours of us just like acting like kids in a candy store, you know, just having the best time coming up with
trying figure out how to do it, like how to hide the cuts
and like we didn't realize it was gonna take. So I think some of the actors were just like hanging in the living room and suddenly it's like 4 hours later.
I will say though, the one thing great about that was, since it was a oneer, so like, you know, each section of the oneer, and we'd hide the cuts, whether it was a shoulder coming into frame or something like that. It was really super easy to cut. So we wrapped at like 3 a.m. Everyone's still a little wired, so they go downstairs. I think they cracked a couple beers because we had wrapped, and it was all good. And they're all exhausted. And I quickly just jumped on the computer and cut it together, the oneer.
He edited half the movie this
I was like,
night.
guys, check it out. And we all gathered around, and the oneer worked, and we were just like, yeah. 3 a.m, all the energy's back and stuff.
Nobody believed it was gonna work.
That's the power of editing and cutting.
No, it was a good time. It was a really, really fun shoot. A lot of nighttime, but no, it was fun. It was a lot of also that kind of we'd shoot a little bit in the morning, and there was a lot of waiting till that golden hour.
Yeah.
Then running outside and grabbing everything we needed in that 2-hour window, and then waiting till nighttime to shoot whatever outside we had to do.
And I know you assumed I was alluding to the giggles you got, but I thought for sure you would say your favorite part of the shoot was the golden hour rain scenes.
Oh, you can tell that too.
Bruce has heard me complain about that a few too many times, I think.
Bruce is like,
Yeah, there was a lot of the entire ending's in the rain.
Yeah.
And Anna actually had it easy because she got to wear a raincoat for all this.
that was filled with freezing water.
James had to be in a wet t-shirt the whole time. And so we were shooting in very short spurts just so no one froze to death, because the water coming out was not warm.
Well, it was just funny because, you know, I'm trying to get pumped up to do it, and, you know, you get wet and you accept it. But it's this heroic moment where I'm supposed to be saving my sister's life, and I'm shivering. It was just, the hardest part was just trying to control my nervous system to not look as uncomfortable as I was.
And I remember there's one line where you say to me, like, "We got this."
You're like chain is going like the million.
I'm jackhammering like.
Was it in wintertime that you filmed that, or?
No, it was spring, but it wasn't warm enough to be in a wet t-shirt outside. It in 50s, 60s.
Coming from California,
Yeah.
it was winter time.
Yeah.
It felt like it.
Oh gosh, that sounds like it was a fun shoot.
So much fun. We had a blast. Really, really good time.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for joining me. This was great. The film turned out great, and I can't wait for people to see it. Can't wait to talk to people about it. And I think it'll be out on streaming June the 6th, digital and VOD.
Yep.
What I've been told. So
Yeah. No, thank you. So this is super fun.
yeah.
All right. Thanks
All
a
right.
lot.
Preview, take care.
All right. Thank you, Ryan.
Bye.